What is up, everybody? This is Liam Murphy back with the one, the only Davis Mattek. Give me 1 second here. I'm just posting about the drafters today. Davis, how are you doing, my friend?
Well, I've been better. Fucking basement flooded last night, so if you guys hear any background noise of the dehumidifier running, that's why. We're I mean, honestly, it wasn't that bad, but when you're getting married in a couple weeks, you do not want to be dealing with a basement flood.
That sucks, man. I'm really sorry that happened. Yeah, you're in the St. Louis area, and they're getting really torrential rain, right?
Dude, it was. I have never seen anything like this. I had to drive to a meeting, like as it was coming down, and I'm seeing like trash cans floating down the road. Just smoking trash cans on the road, like stuff from people's front yards. Like front yard decorations floating down. It was gnarly. I've never seen anything like it.
That is rough. That reminds me. One time I went to Guatemala in high school, and we got caught in a rainstorm, like on our way from some really small town to like the only airport, and there were literally boulders going by our van, and then like we got to a certain point, and like the whole bridge had just washed out, and I was like mere like a couple hours before we got there, I was like, God damn. We got Siege in the chat. He's going to be on next week. What's going on, Siege?
Yes, insane, dude.
That sucks. I'm really sorry. You got the fan on now. Is it clearing up? Is the rain supposed to be done, or are you guys still in the middle of this thing?
Apparently, it's done raining. It's sunny out. Apparently, it might rain again a little bit on Sunday, so we'll see if it is as bad. But I got it all sorted out here now. Nothing's on the ground, but my office section is going to remain at risk, basically.
Well, happy you guys sorted out. Guys, we have 6 out of 12 for the drafters. So if you want to draft with us, now is the time to get in there. We will review some of the drafts after the stream. In the meantime, let's talk about some training camp news and breaking news. DK salaries for week 1 have dropped. When are you going to first peek at those salaries? Are you someone who likes to get your little degen tingles early, at least take a little peek, or are you waiting until it actually matters?
I mean, I'll probably peek. I saw that Mahomes was only 7,700 and Smith-Schuster was in the 5,000s. So I already have my week 1 team built for the spy, pretty much. But yeah, I'm not. Dude, I got too much going on. I got like, how many niche sport DFS slates are in between now and week 1? Like, I gotta leave space in my room for like European women's soccer. Like, I don't have the brain capacity for it.
Yeah, I heard you on another pod and like your diamond status or something like that, right? I was surprised you were grinding the volume. 2 more guys to fill, 2 more to fill. But I heard what you said. Like, you're like farming crowns, so you're
yes. Yeah, I'm not a high roller, right? There are thousands of people with a bigger DraftKings account balance than me, but I farm the crowns, I farm the achievements, I do all my missions, like and which is honestly, Soccer Dave said this on the Swolecast. He's like, his 10.99 on FanDuel is always better, but the DK user experience is just a better gamified, which is true for me. I historically have done better on FanDuel, but I don't even have any money on there right now.
All right, guys, it has filled. We respect grinders on this channel, so that we like to hear that. Let's check out our roster positions. I pulled the 103. That is nice.
I always get the shittiest picks.
Davis pulled the 109. Guys, if you are listening to this and you're not subscribed to Davis's pod, make sure you do that. He always has a bunch of great guests on. I listen to that whenever a new episode drops. And if you're listening to the audio, come check out the video. Come see Davis and I's beautiful mugs on this lovely Friday morning. Looks like we have mostly grinders in the chat. Some names I'm familiar with, but also some new players. So happy to see that. I did the math yesterday of how many drafts a day I need to do if I'm going to fill the $5 DK best ball. the drafters and BBM3, and I was surprised. Was like, I feel like I've done a lot of drafts, and I have, but I need to average 5 a day to fill, assuming there's 40 days left now.
Yeah, I think you're gonna learn the hard way from talking shit on slow drafts, buddy.
No, I mean, look, I will do a slow draft if I have to, like if it's the last week and I need to just volume throw them in there. But honestly, the slow drafts aren't too bad then. Like they really take the clock down from 8 hours. For me, it's just like it's bad for my EV to be in slow drafts. Was like, I take a nap. I just don't get up. I'm in a different time zone that doesn't play well with the slow drafts. And next thing I know, I'm getting autoed players left and right. And I just like to be in there, rip the draft, be done, go about my day. And I want people to make mistakes in the fast drafts. Like the people who are trying to grind injury news, come on. Like the people who are like, oh, I need to milk all 8 hours of my clock in case
this only makes sense. I tweeted about this. This only makes sense if you are only on one site or you are only a slow drafter. But if you are someone like you or I who just wants to get in as many entries as possible, it behooves you to just select whenever you're on the clock, right? To just get it done as soon as possible.
What are your plans for best ball? Which ones are you planning to max? And I mean, obviously, you reserve the right to change your opinion if there's going to be overlay. Are you feeling like, are you going to sit down and crunch the numbers and be like, I need to get this down? Or are you just going to fill as you see fit?
The only one that I'm going to max is going to be Best Ball Mania 3. I'm going to get as many as possible as I can into this puppy that they're going to launch on August 1st. That is $1 million prize pool. Like I will probably try and do like 10 of those a day, slow and fast. Like I'm just going to try and get in as many of those as possible. And I'm in a bunch of slows right now. So I'm in like 6 slows on DraftKings right now. I'm actually in 4 slows here on Drafters, which is, it's just like, I don't know, accumulating EV in the background is kind of how I think of it.
I'm in a bunch of slows, but only for sites that like the high stakes that only slows are filling. So like I'm in the high stakes DK slows, and I'm in some FFBC main event slows. And let's remember for our audio listeners to mention our picks every couple.
Yes. So you took Cooper Kupp at 3. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, and I'm going to take Dalvin Cook at 9 over Derrick Henry and over Travis Kelce. I was looking at my overall exposures yesterday, and I am just levered the fuck up on Travis Kelce. Because I just pretty much, once Eckler's gone, I pretty much just take him. Yeah. But across like 3 sites and all these different contests, I have like 25% Travis Kelce, which seems heavy.
I feel like for Hall of Fame type players that don't play the running back position, it's almost sharp to just draft them until they're actually done, right? Like just giving them the benefit of the doubt that like they're not going to slow down. They like, the fish are going to want to stop fading these players as soon as possible, as soon as they get a little bit older. And like, it's not out, like, especially a tight end, it's not out of the question that Kelce could have a huge year. Like, at tight end, when you can just box out smaller linebackers, you run up the field, you turn around, you get the ball from Patrick Mahomes. Hoagie brings up a good point. Kelce crushed in the playoffs last year. Anthony, Kelce's ADP is the same except for the FFBC, where he generally goes a little bit higher.
Yeah.
What about if it's clear that Drafters is going to overlay? Are you going to try to get all that EV? Or are you just not going to stress?
I'm gonna make that decision. The other wrench that's being thrown into this is that I get married and then I go on a honeymoon out of the country for a week. So that's pretty much prime drafting time, and I'm gonna be not in the country then. I started this draft though, very, very standard boomer start. Well, I guess maybe not. The boomers wouldn't take DeAndre Swift. The boomers would take someone else probably. But I started Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, which is, I think, a pretty good start.
I think most people are coming around to Swift. I don't have that much Tyreek, but there are some years where he's just going to be like absolutely fed and featured. So I want I want to get some of him pairing him with Cup. I'm going 0 RB. Not much of the other drafter. No one else in the draft has started 2 wide receivers, so a little nice to get different. Let's talk about some camp news. Any camp news you think is actionable to date? You know, our king Taysom Hill. We saw that he took a shot in the ribs, but I'm not too worried about that. Any camp news
I
that
mean,
you think is
biggest camp news. I mean, for me in terms of how I'm drafting, the biggest thing was that Taysom. I mean, Nick Underhill confirmed it. He's still taking quarterback snaps, right? Like that's still going to be a part of their offense. That one was pretty big. And I had been drafting Kenyon Drake early, and then there was that reporting on his ankle injury that it was going to be bad, but he's not on the pup list, and he is, according to the report yesterday, going to be a significant part of their offense. So I'm back in on drafting Kenyon Drake. That was a mean and Ramondre.
This is such a hard part. Let's get to that in the quick. I'm on the clock. This is such a hard part in the draft for me because it's like someone is going to emerge here. Like Keenan, you know, he's getting a little older. Otherwise, I would really love him. I like him more on PPR, obviously. Pittman just feels wrong that he's like so close to AJ Brown, you know, and Tyreek. Same thing with like the other wide receivers. Kamara, I considered as well. I would have taken him, but you know, they could throw to wide receivers more. Who are you typically taking at the top of the third there?
I'm back in on taking Kamara. Just I think like every day he's not suspended makes it seem more likely that he's not suspended. And if like just you know do the thought experiment, what happens if tomorrow the NFL says Alvin Kamara will not be facing a suspension? He's like a first round pick, right?
I think he goes. If tomorrow there's no suspension, I think he would go in this range right here, like where he took Cook, and I think he would be overdrafted at that cost for me. Like I've been taking plenty of him in this as he falls here. And there is news. Hoagie points this out as well that 8-1 there's a court date for him, so we should maybe get something there. But also I think it's likely like we don't get an answer until. We're just gonna have to hope he doesn't get the suspension if we're taking him.
Yeah, but we should be taking advantage of that uncertainty, right?
Always, yes. But you know, whatever. Taking 0 RB, getting Keenan attached to Herbert, not too bad. Some of the other camp news you mentioned, Ramondre. I think that's pretty big news. What did you say before that? I wanted to highlight that.
Kenyon Drake.
Oh, yeah, Kenyon Drake. I read that little blurb, too, and it was, like, really bullet. I don't have any Drake, I think, and I definitely want to change that because it was like, hey, he had, like, an ankle injury last year. He is back. You know, like, that sounds like someone we want to be getting some shares of.
Yeah, that sounded super bullish to me. Nate asking, is 0 RB viable in a cumulative scoring format? Personally, I think 0 RB is better for a playoff format, and obviously I think it's way better in a managed format. But again, if you're drafting the right players, you know, if you hit on this year's James Conner, Leonard Fournette, and Eli Mitchell, and you have 7 stud wide receivers, that's probably all going to feel pretty good.
Yeah, Nate, I think I agree with Davis. I think 0 RB is definitely viable. It's much easier to see the path when you start 2 RB or 1 RB. But Davis is exactly right. Like if Fournette, Connor, those type of players exist in today's draft landscape, and you have them with the elite wide receivers, you should be, in theory, the only one who can win. And I think you have to do it tastefully. Like don't start with 6 wide receivers and end up with 10, let's see what other camp news here. Yeah, guys, there's some long questions. Can't read all those so quick. How about some local Chiefs reports, not local to you, but that's your squad. How you feel? Like I saw Juju's getting hyped. MBS is getting hyped. Sky Moore's getting hyped.
They're all going to get hyped, right? Because if you kind of think about it, like obviously it makes sense that these dudes are going to look amazing in training camp when Patrick Mahomes is the one throwing them the ball, right? Like I don't know. I'm the only stuff I'm really interested in as far as Chiefs training camp right now is who is playing in what situation. Like, is McKinnon getting goal line snaps? What's Rojo? Does Rojo look good? Does Rojo look bad? Is Rojo missing pass blocks in camp? Does Rojo understand the playbook? Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire healthy? Like I honest to God, I need to hear a best shape of his life story about Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I was listening to you and Pat the other day. I don't think I finished the pod quite there. Real quick, I took Akers and Davis got Marquise Brown and Waller on his team. I was listening to your pod, and you guys were talking about. You mentioned CEH being a potential league winner, and I was like, "Oh God, please, no for my badge."
I mean, I'm not even really drafting him that heavy. But if he has, like, the thing about a league winner for him is a league winner at his cost can just be like what Josh Jacobs did last season, which was like a super boring, no one even remembered drafting him season. But like he's going, like you're getting him in the 8th, 9th round right now. You know,
and it's to me, it's like I don't like I just think that Mahomes and Allen are unique. Where I mean, I guess we have seen league-winning running backs from the Chiefs, like.
I mean, how about if you picked up Damian Williams in 2019?
Exactly. But like, is CH going to punch in? Like, what is his, how does he get there? Like, is it with a bunch of pass catching? Is it with
catches 60 passes and scores 11 times?
Yeah, it's the scoring the 11 times that like, I need to see that. But I took Akers and Herbert, which it's not my favorite thing in the world.
I love that week 17 correlation, buddy.
Oh, brother. Yeah, in some ways, week 17 is much sweeter for drafters. I tweeted this out the other day because, like, to me, giving someone the leash of being in first, getting that optimism, and then me running them down with a week 17 game stack out of nowhere, like, oh, brother, that is euphoria right there. Let's see where Davis goes. He's on the clock.
I took Kyler to stack with Hollywood Brown, which was my plan. And then I'll just take whatever wide receiver is available when it comes back around. I also would have liked to have set up Bateman and Lamar, but Lamar went at pick 53. I'm trying to get a lot of 5th round Lamar Jackson right now. I feel like, honestly, close your ears. I feel like the Herbert and Allen drafters are going to have pretty bad advance rates this year because I think Lamar and Mahomes are better than them for fantasy.
For
cost. I think 3rd round Josh Allen versus 5th round Lamar. I want the Lamar every time, pretty much.
For playoff sites, that's part of the bull case for Josh Allen.
Yes.
Like
so
BBM3.
you're totally right in BBM3. Like, no, I would say Allen probably has the single highest. Well, I don't know. I think Lamar has a higher single game ceiling than Josh Allen, actually.
I mean, I'm feeling like what you're saying is like also how I feel about like Kyler. Like, No, I just think the 5th round quarterbacks are better than Herbert and Allen to me personally. Yeah, I mean, I would never have taken Herbert here if I didn't have Keenan. I would have taken Lamar. I just like the rushing guys better. But for a site like BBM3, like I want my quarterback to be a low advance rate guy if I can get him to the playoffs, and I have like the ego and
this is in my opinion your most indefensible take.
No, you want low owned players in the playoffs, right? So, and also
I think your brain has gone too galaxy. I think that I get what you're saying. So like from a game theory perspective, I totally get what you're saying, right? If you offered me 4% of teams in the final have Josh Allen versus 20% of the teams have Mahomes in the final, sure, of course. But I think that is not seeing the forest for the trees. I think you're really looking at the really interesting Josh Allen tree you just want to keep staring at it, but you're missing the forest of if you just had taken a bunch more Mahomes, you're going to have way more opportunities to have teams in the final. Like if you I'll offer it to you like this. If you could have one team in the final and it was the most unique team in the final, however you want to define that, right? Like overlapping players, low advanced players, whatever, or 20 teams in the final or let's make it more realistic, 10 teams in the final featuring much more common players with just like little textural differences. Which one are you taking?
I mean, let me make my pick real quick here.
Sure.
Because I don't think the question is like the most actionable thing in the world. With me being on the clock here, man, I don't like either of these guys could do it. I think, oh man, Gibson's got some bad news too. Let's grab MT. He's back practicing. Screw it. I mean, if we're talking like the way ownership in the finals, like I was talking playoffs, you were talking finals. The way the ownership in the finals is going to work out, anyways, is whatever play. Like even if Josh Allen is 4% owned in the for playoff advancement,
Sure.
if he's the guy, like if he puts 2 40-point weeks, he'll be 80% owned in the finals. So it's not strictly a finals thing, but it's also easy to say in a vacuum, like, hey, I like third round, I like the skill position player, but if you actually look at it, now, dang, Kirk would have liked him. Ayuk going high in this draft. I guess I'm just gonna take the running back that's available in Josh Jacobs and fade the whatever. If he's a running back by committee, he still did some passes last year. But if like now the way the draft market settled on drafters now, it's like I do think there's a noticeable tier gap with Thielen and Emore, but you used to be able to do like Allen and then like Gabe Davis and Juju, which like back then I didn't think it was that different than someone taking Lamar and Mike Williams versus like Allen Davis and Juju. At this point in the market, Allen's gotten cheaper. The other quarterbacks have pretty much remained. And to be clear, like I have a ton of Murray and Lamar. Herbert's the guy I have the least of just because I don't have as much.
Yeah, I do not take Herbert very often, pretty much exclusively when I start Eckler, or actually more when I start Cup and then one of the Chargers wide receivers.
Like I want more Herbert too. I also this year have like a bunch of cheap guys that are just like ugly because I'm not doing as much double elite quarterback anywhere. You got Godwin. I really like that. That's actionable news we need to talk about. I think I don't
really know what to do here.
Can get gross, man.
I'm gonna take a gross player. I'm gonna take a gross player and back up something I've been talking about, which is, last year we were so certain that Antonio Gibson was going to be a 3-down back for Washington, and he wasn't. And this year the market is saying we're 100% certain Antonio Gibson is not going to be the 3rd-down back. He's really still the same player. I mean, he got injured last year, but he had a couple games where he just stone cold smashed and looked amazing, right? Couple 50-yard plus touchdowns. And like my thesis on him is the same, which is like he's just this phenomenal player. So I do want to get some exposure to him.
Yeah, and it also like something I've talked about a lot is not completely abandoning our priors where a bunch of sharp people got burned by Gibson, because let's face it, like Pat Kerrane, our friend, wrote a really sharp article, was in on him. I think a lot of people were like, I think Pat is a big reason, part of the reason at least, like a sharp crowd was in on Gibson, and the bull case is still there for him. Like, we just saw Wentz offense produce JT. Not saying Gibson can do that, but yeah, like if I wasn't taking Jacobs, I was going to take Gibson there. And there are still some people out there who like some Gibson, but I think it's like the way fantasy football works year over year is when we get burned by a player, we inherently don't want to draft that player usually again. Now you are into Max Payne, so it seems like you're just going to be.
Yeah, I sort of do the opposite. Like when guys I like burn me, I just keep taking them. I ride it to zero pretty much.
I mean, you got to when they're like much cheaper than they have in the past. Like I think it's a leak in a lot of our games to let our bias of being burned in the past really like make our decisions. Other camp news that you have been like, let's also talk about, like, I love Isaiah McKenzie. I think there's some seasons where he absolutely smashes, but
100%, yeah.
But there are, like, I don't think pads have been on too much. Like, these smaller type players, we should expect to be lighting up, like padless practices. Like Isaiah McKenzie is incredibly twitchy. He weighs 164 pounds apparently. That is not great to be weighing that small, but Cole Beasley weighed 174, so it's not like he was some weight king.
Yeah.
People are getting back out on Gage. I'm debating buying that dip.
No. I literally will not do the show with you if you're buying the Russell Gage dip. Like,
well, I'm going to take him here because it's just a bit of a tear break. Like, I
think all the next 5 wide receivers behind him are better.
You like Claypool, Woods? Like,
I literally, actually, all of those guys. I would take every guy you're seeing on the screen: Claypool, Woods, Sky, Wilson, Tyler Boyd, Rondale Moore, Kenny Golladay, Tim Patrick. I would take all of them over him.
Well, it lets me hedge against your team with Godwin. Gage should, at worst, be an early season, stud.
Gage could be their wide receiver 5 by kickoff in week 1.
Reports have Todd Bowles shouted him out by name today. Had a great practice. We just saw Brady.
He also said Kyle Rudolph is gonna do most of Gronk's work.
We also saw Tom Brady just support 5 pass catchers or whatever.
Do you want Russell Gage's stat line the last time he played on a team with Julio Jones? Are you curious?
Hit it with. That is not fair, but hit it with me. What year was this?
This was in 2020. Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, Hayden Hurst, Julio Jones. This was the year Todd Gurley was on Atlanta. Russell Gage played.
So are you someone who wants to take Julio in the 10th?
No. I will be taking Chris Godwin now.
Yeah, look.
And you can get Mike Evans. Like, dude, I'm just doing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
I have one of the highest bags on Godwin, probably of anyone, because I never stopped taking him on any site. And, that was when I just followed the price down. I was like, okay, give me more Godwin. By the way, I talked about this with Pat yesterday, but real quick detour. I really think out of the rounds 9 and 10, there's going to be some incredible league winners to emerge. And whether it's really separates, like, a bunch of these running backs.
All the running backs that go there have like huge ceilings.
Yeah, Ramondre, James Cook, Penny, Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, Patterson, Rashad Penny, Kareem Hunt, so yeah, I really generally I want to be taking running backs in these rounds. But there's some that it's also like the tail end of a wide receiver tier break where you can still get like Sky Moore, Treylon Burks sometimes, Robert Woods, I'll give people that. So that's how I think about those rounds. I went with Gage and James Cook, and you went with.
I took a better player than Russell Gage. 10 picks after I took Rondale Moore.
Better player, but much worse coach. What
has Byron Leftwich ever done?
He's not Cliff.
Cliff actually is like not a good real life coach, but theoretically he should be a great coach for what Rondale does well at. And
could be, but what was last year like?
Well, they don't have anyone to play the slot now. They had to play Kirk in the slot last year. They have Rondale Moore is the only slot wide receiver on the roster now.
Yeah, it's not a ding to Moore that he's worse than Kirk because I think Kirk is actually good at football.
I do too. I think the slander on Christian Kirk went way too far. Yes, Cliff is very fake sharp. Great point.
Let me see if I can get to some of these questions. Opinion on handcuffs and drafters with 2 extra roster spots. I've talked about this plenty, but I think handcuffs are unquestionably worse on drafters because
I am just team handcuff in every format. I'm willing to be proven wrong about this, but if the cost is cheap, now obviously never doing Zeke and Tony Pollard, never doing Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, but Christian McCaffrey and Donta Foreman, Joe Mixon, Chris Evans, these are situations I am comfortable with.
To me, part of the bull case of handcuffing for the playoff formats
is playoff uniqueness.
Is you get CMC in his backup, CMC gets hurt, you're able to advance a low-owned CMC to the finals. That doesn't exist for drafters, where you just want to be having shots at different guys going down, in my opinion. But I agree, if cost is appropriate, I'll do it. For example, like I've done both the Titans backups on one team in like the 19th and 20th round. I've done that with like James Conner's backups, taking 2 of those guys and being like places I'm not convinced there would be a clear dude emerge if someone goes down and is a high value spot. Yeah, someone says Rojo and CH and McKinnon. I think that's fine.
I think Rojo and McKinnon is fine. I think CH and Rojo is too expensive. You're giving up premium assets where both of those guys go. But I think CH and McKinnon, Rojo and McKinnon, I think both of those are fine.
I think because there's 3 players there, I agree with you. If there were only 2 players there, like for example last year with the Bills backfield, I had a couple Singletary and Moss lineups, even though it was like 2 round 9, 10 picks, just being like, okay, I'm gonna lock it up. Yeah, I'll take a falling Ertz. He again is hedging against or leveraging against Davis's team, where it's like if it's not more, hopefully it's Ertz. And
I also have Marquise Brown, so you're double leveraging me with the 35-year-old. Yeah. I'm dominating you in this draft, Liam.
I really like my draft, man.
This is the first time I've done a good draft since with you and I together. Normally I'm bad.
We'll have the chat vote at the end, and we'll post it on Twitter for some votes to see what the people think.
You lose the screenshot war because you don't have an elite tight end. So my team just like just looks a little bit more pretty because I have the elite tight end. You didn't let me finish dunking on your Russell Gage take.
Go ahead. By the way, I just panicked, took Hines there. It's whatever. We're getting running backs that are going to give me points.
In 2020, Julio Jones played 9 games. Russell Gage played 16. Russell Gage got 109 targets and 786 yards. Julio Jones got 68 targets and 14 fewer yards, 771. Gage scored 4 times in 16 games. That was 2 fewer than Hayden Hurst, who's one of the most useless players in football. Julio Jones scored 3 times in 9 games. He was out yard per targeted by over double by Julio Jones. In fact, Olamide Zaccheaus had a higher yards per target than Russell Gage. Russell Gage is a very average football player.
How many 20-point plus games do you think he has the potential to have this year?
2.5 is what I'd set the line at, maybe.
Comfortably over 4.
Comfortably over 4.
If Brady is Brady.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. That feels.
I'd take the over on 3.5. Let me say that.
Take the over on 3.5. Yeah, I think there's almost no way.
Were you in on a 34-year-old Antonio Brown?
Shit, I can't even honestly remember.
I was not.
I want to say I probably wasn't not because of the age.
Are we making a friendly bet here?
Yeah. I got $25 on under 3.5.
20-point PPR games.
Yes.
Correct. All right, and I'll take the over. Booked. Someone help us remember this. I'm sure.
Yeah. Someone will tweet us.
After I ship BBM3, the sweetest thing is going to be reaching out to Davis. Hey Davis, you got me on that 25.
You got to Venmo me, bro. So if I remember correctly, and again, my brain is so mush, I think the reason I wasn't in on Antonio Brown didn't have anything to do with age. I mean, maybe it did. But I also didn't draft him the year before when he was on, early in the season when he was a Raider and everything. Just because I don't like Antonio Brown. I thought he was such a loser.
I think that's fine, man. It's okay to have biases. Like, we're not going to win this contest that often. Like, I had no Tampa last year because
I am like the most biased drafter. It's like hilarious how much I allow myself to be biased.
I like you, man. I like someone that drafts with their heart on the sleeve. Also,
I just take Chiefs all the time. It's more fun for me to take Chiefs players.
you took a shot at Ertz. Ertz for me is a huge tier break before the Cole Kmet.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Tier.
I agree.
He's a huge tier break for me. Like, he's drawn very live to get 100+ targets. He could like legitimately give us like a couple 15-point games weeks 1 through 6 before Hopkins comes back. Maybe the young tight ends emerge somewhat there, but Ertz, like after Ertz, and I like him way more in drafters, you know.
I mean, I would say probably the most annoying thing about Ertz on the playoff sites is that he'll probably be like, he'll just be in a retirement home by week 17. Like a lot of the times when the way this season plays out, like could be they play Trey McBride more. Could be Ertz gets injured because he's 35. Could be, he just can't really do it anymore. Like they're just like he'll probably have decent season long numbers, but it would not surprise me if he slows down towards the end of the year.
All right, guys, I drank too much coffee. I'm running to the bathroom real quick. Davis is taking questions, and we're taking Michael Carter.
Yeah, you gotta take your picks here. So to recap the teams for everyone, my team is Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, Ronald Jones. Wide receivers are Marquise Brown, Chris Godwin, Chris Olave, Rondale Moore, DJ Shark. DJ Shark's ADP is like 50 spots higher on drafters than it is on Underdog. But if we're talking, hashtag training camp news here, we are getting lots of buzz on DJ Shark and getting negative buzz on Jameson Williams. And it looks like Liam just made a selection of Gerald Everett from the bathroom, which is pretty funny. And then my tight end is Darren Waller. And Liam's team, he did go, pretty much full 0 RB here. I guess not full because he ended up taking Akers and Jacobs, but he started with 3 wide receivers. He has Justin Herbert at quarterback, Cam Akers, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, Nyheim Hines, Michael Carter. Then his wide receivers are Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, and the lowly Russell Gage, Zach Ertz, and Gerald Everett.
Amateur hour by me taking too much coffee right before stream. I went with Everett and Michael Carter there. Everett, like, I don't really view him that much differently, but when I have Herbert, I kind of want to be taking him there. And, anytime you can have a super stack for a week 17 game in a non-playoff format, you have to do it. Let's talk Liam with the bathroom tablet. Yeah. Once you win $1 million, you just put TVs all over your house, No, I brought my phone. How do you feel about Michael Carter? Like, I think there was a quote, he's going to be in a 40-60 timeshare. Breece Hall, to me, from the few videos I've seen, has looked absolutely electric.
Yeah, he's really good. He was a really good college player, like to the point of where like the team like totally restructured the way they played when they recruited him. They had this guy Brock Purdy who started as a true freshman at Iowa State, and they were like developing their entire offensive identity around him. And then every year Purdy got worse, and they just gave the ball to Breece Hall more. Like he's phenomenal. I
like this DJ Chark pick by you.
It's way ahead of Underdog ADP. He goes 40 spots after this on Underdog. I love
him
DJ
ahead
Chark.
Of Christian Watson. You took him ahead.
Christian Watson are Christian Watson and Al Mazur the worst picks in fantasy football right now?
I am not ready to say Alan Lazard is not going to get there. Like
if you're taking Alan Lazard in the 6th round, pick up my head-to-heads on DraftKings when it becomes season time.
I think it's a mistake to emerge. Like, obviously I liked him and had way more when he was in the hundreds, but there is a legitimate season where Rodgers stubbornly just chooses Lazard. Like we've seen this before where
I think it is extremely more likely that he stubbornly chooses Randall Cobb. Like extremely more likely.
Yeah, I'm just not on the Cobb train. Like if Randall Cobb is the reason why we can't draft a player, we probably need to revisit.
Well, it's not just Cobb though. It's Dubes, it's Rodgers, it's Watson. Tunyon's back from the ACL. But Josiah DeGuara and Tyler Davis are getting the snaps in training camp right now. Like this could be one of the all-time worst teams for fantasy football, where the running backs are splitting all the important work. 7 guys are earning targets on a weekly basis. They play slow. They try to win with defense, right? They spent all this money on defense this offseason and no money on offense, right? Who did they sign on offense? No, literally no one. Literally, they did not make a skill position player signing this offseason.
Sammy Watkins.
Oh shit, you're right. Okay, there we go. There's one, and he's the one. To me, Watkins is, and I'm very biased towards Sammy Watkins, but Watkins is the one that I'm taking because Watkins has shown flashes of being the guy worth the number 1 overall, the first round pick when the Bills took him.
I think we should be taking shots at all the Green Bay guys. Look,
to do the cheap ones, not the one that goes in the 6th round.
Yes, that's how. Where did he go in this draft? He went in the 7th, ahead of Tony, ahead of Burks, ahead of MBS, ahead of Hopkins.
How old do you think Alan Lazard is?
28.
He's gonna turn 27 this season.
That's pretty young.
He's on his 2nd contract.
Didn't Rodgers literally say he's an MVP?
He was making fun of Devontae Adams.
Okay.
Because Devontae Adams, they asked Devontae Adams a question about, what's it like going from Rodgers to Carr, and he said, not that different, Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer. So then the reporter asked Rodgers about going from Adams to Lazard, and he just, he jokingly says, oh yeah, Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer.
I have way more Alec Pierce than Campbell, so I'm going to take Campbell here. And just to recap our picks, I went with Khalil Herbert and Campbell, so I got a bunch of running backs. It's nice to get a pure handcuff to go with the pass catchers of Hines and Cook and Carter on my team. I need a second quarterback. Davis went with George Pickens, who I like. I wanted to talk to you about Hunter Henry because I have a huge Hunter Henry bag, but early buzz is, and this is a guy I have absolutely zero of, is Jonnu Smith.
The drum beat for Jonnu is going. I take him a little bit. I take him a little bit. They're paying Jonnu crazy money.
Crazy. Like I remember talking to Rudman last year. So after I won BBM two early in the offseason, Rudman's a Pats fan, I'm a Bills fan. I was a random nobody, but he was talking about the Patriots, and I said that they had one of the worst free agent class of all time, in my opinion, where they just overpaid for a lot of bad to average.
Rudman defended that awful free agent class. He was like, the Nelson Aguilar contract is fine. Find a new slant.
Yeah, no, so I was like, hey, I don't know. I said something, and he's like, well, I'm gonna trust the opinion of Bill Belichick over whatever. And then after I won BBM2, he was one of the few guys I retweeted and said Lamel. A little shades of Davis, I'm a little sad that I missed the Davis Twitter warrior days. This is a more calm down Davis.
I really used to go after people. If someone annoyed me, I would really go after them. I just got too much shit on my plate these days, It's I can't dig up your awful takes about whoever. But I do remember the Nick Rudman just being adamant that spending $150 million on Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne was somehow a good thing to do.
Was the genius, a genius thing for Bill to do. Fit check. I'm wearing no shoes right now. Let's see. You went with McKinnon. That's probably a bit above ADP, but don't mind it. You got George Pickens, who it really made no sense to me why the market just decided Pickens was no longer valued.
Pickens is a dog, bro. Pickens got that dog in him.
Yeah. Let's see what your quarterback situation is. Looks like you're done. I didn't see you took Carr. Do you have you have Waller. So you're stacked up with 2 elite quarterbacks. You got 5 running backs. So nice. Oh, and you took Watkins. I guess we're getting down in this.
That's my boy. Watkins is my boy. I mean, it's like you know,
I like
you
Watkins,
can't
man.
you can't get even on the Martingale if you stop betting. So it's like I'm just going to be betting on Watkins and McCole Hardman until they're not in the league anymore.
That is fair to me. Looks like my second quarterback is going to be the plug your nose type variety. Because
I would do 3 quarterbacks with this the way this is setting up for you.
I'm never doing 3 with having an elite guy. I just think from the me writing the paper and studying it, I just don't think that's how you win. I think how you win is to I'm gonna take Darrell Williams. We're going heavy at RB.
I cannot bring myself to take Darrell Williams. It feels like the market is way overconfident that he is
the two
compared to Eno and Keontae Ingram even, you know, like it feels like they're like, I get him as an 18th round, 19th round, 20, you know, in the 20 rounds. Like I totally get him as a dart stab, but I don't know, like over Mostert or Ingram or Evans or even like Brian Robinson. Like I feel like those guys, I'm more certain that an injury benefits them.
That's fair. For me, it's like if we are wrong and he is the clear 2, I feel like his
huge value
is much higher than all those guys. And we saw him do it like several years in a row, you know, like he has those games in his repertoire. And I have so many pass catching guys that I want more of the pure handcuff variety on this team. So man, Will Fuller, where are you, dog? Why are you not signed with Green Bay?
Like, dude, can we get an update? Can the guy send a tweet or an Instagram post or something? Where does he live? Where's Will Fuller's house? Like, can someone just check on him and see if he's okay?
I'm going to take Wentz because I think I can get cheap stacking options easier than with Davis Mills. And I'm fine stopping at 2 with Wentz. Like, maybe Mills has more 30-point games in his repertoire. But
I mean, Wentz runs.
Wentz runs, yeah, and what people don't know is if Wentz had his rushing production of like 2 years ago, last year, he would have had a very good season. Because last year he only had 1 rushing touchdown.
The thing with Wentz is I just feel like he's always getting benched or hurt. Like I don't know. Like this is the analogy I make with guys who get old. So this is what I'd say with Julio is like when the milk goes bad. How often does the spoiled milk become drinkable again? And my thing with Wentz is I guess it's not even really related to injury. It's just he stinks so bad. It feels like he's always on the verge of being benched.
I want you to guess how many touchdowns he threw last year and how many interceptions off the top of your head.
I guess like 28 and 10 probably.
He was 27 and 7. Only 7 picks. That's pretty.
What were his fumbles like though?
Probably off the charts.
Because that was the thing with what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? With Daniel Jones.
He had 5 fumbles lost, I think is how you read this. It says 8, and so 5.
Yeah. So that is a turnover per game.
Yeah, 7 picks though. Like I think that's way. And 27 touchdowns, I think people would have guessed the under. I mean, it's not that impressive.
I'm gonna look right. Wow, his sack rate was actually low.
Was it?
His sack rate not low for an NFL player, but low for Carson Wentz.
Well, but I think that's probably a product of the Colts line, which he's not going to get with Washington.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at his stats last year, he's just the most like but it's like he's like a very average player, I think, at this stage in his career. He's got the tools. Like I'm totally like a Wentz, like has the tools guy. Not even that dissimilar from like Jalen Hurts or whatever, but he just he does. I think like the thing with Wentz is he just doesn't execute the game plan the coaches want him to a lot.
Yeah, he's not that different than a Daniel Jones though. Like people
very similar to Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones goes in the 12th, and Wentz.
But Daniel Jones has way better skill position players, and people are really bullish on what Brian Dable could do to an offense.
I think people are undervaluing the Washington skill position players, especially if Logan Thomas can reemerge healthy. I think
Logan Thomas moves like an ant.
Moves like a. You think Logan Thomas is unathletic?
He used to be insanely athletic. He's 30 and he's had like 9 million like catastrophic injuries.
What's rough is he didn't just have the ACL, he had like also the knee or something last year. But Logan Thomas is like, you look up his RAS profile, he is athletic.
I know that 10 years ago he was, but he is 30. He's 31 years old with not one but two multiple catastrophic knee injuries.
He doesn't have the wear and tear though of, because he was like he.
Dude, I was touting Logan Thomas as a quarterback in preseason football while you were still playing chess. Like, trust me, I know all about Logan Thomas.
And we're taking him to stack with Wentz. It's nice to get a little. I really like with the cheap tight end darts to get them with the quarterback.
Totally.
That feels good. And like, look, to me, Logan Thomas has a much higher ceiling than some of these dudes. Like, there are some guys I like in this range. I like Daniel Bellinger quite a bit. I'll take Dulcich. I'll take Trey McBride. I'll take Conklin. But Logan Thomas 2 years ago, we don't get those stats here. But even last year, man, pretty decent before he got injured for good. Yeah. And keep in mind, he's playing the Browns week 17. That's some would say that's a tight end funnel of
that game is going to be, if that game ends up being the game you need in week 17, I will have had like the worst year in fantasy football. Like I will just lose. Yeah. If you needed to have Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, and Terry McLaurin, I think that's probably the group of players. I might not have one of those guys in any league, honestly.
I'm pretty out on Terry at cost, but I'm in on the cheaper options. And of course, I'll take some Terry just for exposure to every elite wide receiver.
I take Chubb, Hunt, and Dearness Johnson all after. Well, not Dearness Johnson, but Hunt and Chubb after ADP, but never at or ahead.
My tight ends when I won the Millie were Noah Fant and Mike Gesicki.
And Noah Fant was the secret ingredient, bro.
He really was, though. And like that really talks. That is why I have way more 3 tight end this year, purely for playoff formats, getting that low-owned leverage play. I like Curtis Samuel. Jahan Dotson should be good. I think, like, if we compare...
Why will Jahan Dotson be good?
High draft pick, rookie, getting a lot of buzz in camp, seems like a deep burner. I'm willing to... Pretty
shitty first-round wide receiver profile.
I mean, that's how we felt about Kadarius Toney. Like
that's also how we feel about Philip Dorsett. Like it's like for every
that's years past. I think
for every time. But okay, Jalen Reagor had. It's like there are like to just disregard the prospect profiles entirely. Like just to say he'll be good. Now, is Jahan Dotson probably a good guy to be taking if the market is wrong? Absolutely, but I'm definitely not writing it in stone that the Commanders are going to be better because they drafted Jahan Dotson.
Well, let me ask you this: does Wentz have better pass catchers this year? I'd say it's unquestionably yes. If we compare it, I think Terry is a better player than Michael Pittman, even though I like Pittman this year.
I think the opposite. I think Pittman is more versatile in my opinion.
And then I think Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson are way better than an aging T.Y. Hilton / like Zach Pascal. And then I think Logan Thomas, if healthy, is much better than Mo Alley Cox and Jack Doyle. So I think his pass catchers are much, much better this year. But the team could be worse than the Colts were.
Yeah.
The Green Lad says flip this right into a BBM3. I can't take all Davis's time like that. It really, unless you want a free equity sweat in a BBM3, I'll give it to you, Davis, if you want to.
No, I gotta go take a check to my caterer right when we're done here.
That is very fair.
The grind don't stop, bro.
Let's Davis hitting back at me, trying to leverage against my team, hits Trey McBride against Ertz. Smart of you to try to leverage against me.
I double leverage you, bro. How do you like that?
What's your other leverage that you got on me?
The McBride. You tried to lever me, but I re-upped the lever on you.
Oh, you clicked back.
Yeah, I clicked back. Yeah, I raised you. I went back over the top of you with King Jack off.
There is nothing like the poker professionals hate the min raise. So when I know I'm at a table of actual professionals, I love the min raise just to fuck with people.
Just to fuck with them.
Yeah, because people think like if you just look at me and I sit down at a poker table, I think people assume before I speak, they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's probably like ran the Sims and crunched the numbers." When I had the mustache, people would think I was like a Euro pro until I started speaking. Like I remember one guy who was a professional. I like was chatting with him afterwards. He was like, "Dude, you should just not speak when you sit down at tables. Like people will give you credit as a Euro pro." And I'm hashtag clicking buttons out there sometimes in poker. Let's summarize these teams. But before we do that, talk to me about Laviska. How do you feel about the recent reports on him?
Well, I feel really good. Just to know that he's not dead, right? Like just to know just to know that he is even playing with the starters and has not been relegated to like Jalen Reagor territory where every time the Eagles talk about Jalen Reagor, it's like, yeah, we hope he can make the team or what, it's all bad, right? Just to even know that he is involved in the offense's plans is better than I expected.
I got, it was hard there with that last wide receiver pick. Part of me wanted to take Cole Beasley. I do think he will sign somewhere and be fine for drafters, but I don't have the type of team where I like need if Cole Beasley is back to being 10 points per game. With Laviska, I like Zay straight up over him, but I mean, I don't know. With a much better coaching staff, like he could do it. And I think if you were in on Laviska, you should be taking him again this year.
Nothing says breakout last round pick than a 27-year-old on his fourth team who's never had more than 500 yards in a season. 11 career touchdowns on 311 career targets. Nothing says breakout like that.
Who are you talking about right now?
Zay Jones?
Hey man, if you saw the press conference of him, he's running as the X. Like I think he can
I think he will play a lot and he will be Jalen Guyton. He's gonna run clear out routes and never be targeted.
Jalen Guyton competes with Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler for targets. Competing against Kirk and Marvin Jones is probably not.
And Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne.
Yeah, there's pieces there. Let's summarize our teams for the people. I did a unique build. I got a 2-7-8-3. My last couple picks for those after Wentz and Logan Thomas, I ended up with James Washington and Khalil Shakir. Shakir, just getting he's a guy I don't think will start the season, but flashing in camp definitely has the upside. Tell the people about your team and how you feel about it.
So I did a Kyler Murray triple stack with Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, and 20th round Trey McBride. I have Derek Carr with Darren Waller. I did the 2-6-9-3. Is that right? Yeah. So I have Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, Gibson, Rojo, McKinnon, Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram is until the Saints sign someone or trade for someone, I think he's going to be in the same role he was in last year, which was like actually a pretty valuable fantasy role. Even in the games Kamara was active, he was still playing. Wide receivers,
much better for drafters, like a Mark Ingram on BBM3. No,
yeah, because he might just be dead.
Yeah.
Marquise Brown, Chris Godwin, Chris Olave, who I'm starting to get interested in. I'm starting to just get kind of good vibes about the Saints. Like I was getting really bad vibes about the Saints.
My highest exposed quarterback is Jameis. I have a ton of Saints.
I'm not getting there on Jameis because Taysom is going to be the quarterback for them. So,
hey man, I got that bag too.
Yeah.
Do you looking at my screen? Do you still have this little image popped up?
Yes.
Or
yeah.
Print screen that. Send it to me in a Twitter DM so I can post this on Twitter, comparing our teams easily. Drafters, still working on that. Guys, I'm going to pull the winner of the Drafters giveaway every stream we do on Drafters, I'll be doing a giveaway for a free ticket. So gonna pull that in the next 10 minutes or so. Still time to enter if you want to check out my Twitter. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Davis, tell the people what they have to look forward to you, what you got coming up.
Sports Grid Fantasy Football Show will probably be close to 3 times a week. I did the Zero RB show with Kyle Dvorak this week and did our league winner show with Patrick Corain, Take Cast with Brian Hooper. We had a pretty interesting conversation about how many lifetimes you would need to realize your EV in best ball. If you're there's really a difference in between doing what you and I are doing, which is all we give a shit about, is these big tournaments, right? But you could be grinding 3-man, 6-mans, every contest that they launch.
That question to me is always framed in the sense of the Millie Maker GPP.
Yeah. So we talked about that. It was pretty interesting.
Someone asking, did Davis take Gronk or Matt Ryan? Not today. All right, guys, that's all we got today. Thanks for tuning in as always. We'll be back next week. Going to try to do these every Wednesday. Davis and I on Wednesday. And towards the end of the season, Davis and I will rip a BBM3 or multi-table some puppies together. Get back on the underdog grind as well.
I got a stream idea? I got
one too. I was going to reach out to you on Twitter about, but tell us that here live.
What if we multi-table Drafters, DraftKings, and a BBM3 all at the same time?
Let's do it. That's the clickbait we need, man. What's the title? Help me crowdsource the title, guys.
Davis and Liam break their brains, or something like that.
Drafting. I need you to send me a picture like this. The YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna reach out to you about my stream idea too. I think it'll be maybe you, me, and Pat will do it or something like that. But all right, guys, that's all we got today. We'll be back next week. Peace.